which focuses on presenting M&E results. So in this video, by the time we end, you're supposed to be able to explain to others the content of a monitoring and evaluation report. Also be able to identify what's important to add in needs. Then together, also, yeah, we would also explain how to use this result to improve your program, because I mean that's one essence of you developing an M&E system for the program or for your organization. Um, so it's also important that yes, the task we'll be looking at will focus on us, yeah, I mean developing an outline of an M&E report. So within this video, we'll discuss what a monitoring and evaluation report is, um, the contents of it, and the key part, which is recommendation. Because yes, you doing a monitoring and evaluation and trying to improve your program means that yes, you need to recommend some things to change, because all the time programs must improve, organizations must improve, and all that. So you want to put it in a recommendation. So we'll just look at ways we can do that, write recommendations. Then how do you disseminate your monitoring and evaluation reports? Because yes, it is not something you write and keep right on your desktop or on your cabinet. So we'll also discuss some common report errors. Then the last part will focus on how you can improve your program. So which is like, yes, insights from your report and now using it to improve your program. So what do we mean even when we say improving your program? Um, the last part, yes, we will do the learning task together as a demonstration. So let's get into things. So what's actually in a monitoring and evaluation report? It's important at this point to state that M&E reports are different from, I mean, as a civil society organization, you will definitely have project reports, you would have financial reports. Those are different from monitoring and evaluation reports. And you can see this focuses on how, yeah, I mean, the relationship between in within your theory of change, right? Which is the relationship between the activities and the results you're getting out of it. Yeah, which is entirely different from a financial report that has all your budget and versus your expenditure, and also that. So it's different in a way. Also with your project reports, which will have yes everything, all the activities, how it was carried out, and all that. This wouldn't do that. Even though there's a link between the two, like in a monitoring and evaluation report, you might decide to look for how the cost benefit analysis of the project, or the cost effectiveness of the project. So that might be a focus, and you add that in the monitoring and evaluation report. In project reports also, I mean, in terms of the result, you also want to add result from an M&E into a project report. So, but a monitoring and evaluation report is a standalone report where people want to see the results of your project in a systematic manner, right? Especially looking at, yes, the methodologies and the focus of it, as it were. So in it, you have the title page, executive summary, introduction, the program description, which describes the theory of change. So this is not describing activities now, the theory of change, the indicators, and then talks about the M&E focus itself, which means like is it a what type of monitoring it is? Is it an assumption monitoring? Is it financial monitoring? Is it technical monitoring? What type of evaluation is it? Is it a summative? Is it a formative? So you discuss what this is about, the focus of it, and what you're targeting. Um, the methodology as well is included. What type of so data sources? Then you have your findings, conclusions, and then your recommendation. So let's get into each one. Yes, a title page. You already know what a title page is. It has the title of title of the monitoring and evaluating A, B, and C program. Um, the dates. Yeah, if you want the author within your organization, it's included in there as well. Um, so, so that's the title page as well. Then, oh, they skipped title page. Then, after the title page, you have the executive summary. I used to say that this is the most important part of your M&E reports. Do you know why? Most people would, if you take any report, just if you want to know what is inside the report, even if it's a 150-page report, most of you would have read maybe the World Development Reports, the World Bank reports, um, um, the Nigerian Vision 2020 reports, or the ERGP, whatever type of report, the SDG report or what. In the executive summary, you have summary of everything that is in the project. So, yeah, many busy people um, tends to just read the executive summary because apparently that's a summary, just to quickly look at, oh, what are the recommendations, and if they feel, oh, this recommendation, okay, let's then go ahead and look at the findings or the method that was used. But the executive summary is first used, and it needs to be concise and very precise in it. So not more than 2 pages. Try as much as possible for it not to be more than 2 pages. Um, so you have a program description, the objective of the program, um, method used, the key findings, and just the recommendations are included. If you look inside the classroom, we've already provided some samples of M&E reports. So please do go in the classroom and download and take a look at those reports. And if you can reflect or on anything on it, please share in the classroom as well under this module so we can have a conversation also. Think about the project description. So this is not describing the activities, right? It's only describing the theory of change. Um, so at which point is the project? Is it about ending? When did the program start? When is it ending? So something like that, and what the program is all about. So think about your project goal, the project objectives. So let me just quickly flash us back to what? Why is this not opening? Um, okay, I'll come to it later on, but just let's be sure that we are connected so that we can go back to it. So, yeah, so it should open now. Just to quickly do a flashback on, yes, what we did in week 2, because week 2 actually did give us a whole lot of, so we're talking about, yes, you showed out your project goal, objectives, um, as it were, in just to support your theory of change, right? In the project description. So the next thing is then the focus as well, which describes, yes, what exactly are we focusing on? What do you want to answer with that report? So which is in form of the questions um, that your monitoring tends to attend to. So which are these, right? Your result statement. For instance, your output. Oh, did we actually increase collaborations among stakeholders? Um, are professional groups now understanding the health budget cycle? Have we been able to increase the knowledge of community-based organizations around budget tracking methodology? So this is related. So the focus is related to this, right? Because this is what you're trying to measure uh, against. So this is from a participatory budget example. Then if you go to the livelihood example, you have this as well. So think about this as what's supposed to be your M&E focus, which is, yes, I mean the priorities, right? Um, then you would have the methodology. So what method was used? Um, to address the indicators, right? Data sources, the method that was used, the instrument that was used. So also, and just for you to know, we've already done that. Um, so we're talking about, yes, your data sources for the indicators, which are here, the data collection method, you can see the data collection instruments that was used as well. So you can see that this table actually has everything that you need. So, and this will be categorized, the methodologies are categorized by each indicators. So you pick each indicators, oh, quote from legislators, right? The data source, the data collection method, the instrument that was used for it. So that goes into your methodology. And then you have the results, which is your analysis. Remember that in week 2, let us see. Yeah, we tried answering the questions, addressing the indicators with our analysis, and we were able to do this with the women group versus their knowledge um, on reporting mechanisms for sexual abuse, if you remember. So this is the type of findings that we want to see. That's what we want to see in your results, or what we call findings, right? Also using charts, very, very important. So, and that is no issue. So, because, for example, um, if you look at what we have here, in here, you can actually also insert um, charts automatically. Let's take a look at it. Insert charts. Um, what kind of chart is this? Yeah, it's giving you a, oh, okay. So yeah, I wanted to say this might not be, so let me delete it. There's what we normally do, or what I normally do, is to get a fresh table. So you need to remove this total. That is what I'm trying. But also, if you highlight, click on Insert and click on Chart, it should give you, yeah, because, oh, it's still having grand total. I can still remove the grand total anyways. Let's see. Should be able to remove. Let's see. Data range. Okay, let's. There's something I used to do, anyways. Let's just delete this and just take this. I don't need the total, and that's the reason why. So I just need this, right? without the total. Let me see again if it pops up without the grand total. Yes, it did. So you have the three um, using the good, poor, or so this is what they said, right? They have been exploiting versus their knowledge, right? So you could think about having your charts in this way. Those that have been sexually abused, yeah, they said good, but exploited is what we're looking for, and we had excellent and good. So you can see that a whole lot of the participants that are sexually that have been exploited by the opposite sex had um, had most had good knowledge about reporting mechanisms. So out of the remaining group of women. So this shows you, this addresses your indicator that you already have, let's see where that is in here. Yes, so in here addresses this, right? Um, and I can put that in my findings, then using the percentages as well. Um, Exploited women versus irregular immigration danger. So if we have forgotten how we did that last week, so remember that we already have a clean data set, right? We already have a clean data set which had women versus SAM, women versus irregular migration understanding as well. All you need to do um, is to, let's see, woman versus this. So you can go to your pivot table again, come in here, pivot table, yes, in the new sheet, and I have something like this. So this will be the woman category, takes it to the row. Then you have your columns as regular migration understanding. Then the values would also represent irregular migration understanding in this format. So with this, you are happy to quickly do your analysis or get your insights. Don't forget that. So we're looking at the ratio of exploited women to other women in the group that said yes, they now understand dangers of irregular migration, right? And in that means that we're talking about, yes, those that said, oh, um, to a great extent, it has made me understand irregular migration. You have them there. So you have 5 exploited women. Then to a considerable extent, which is the second one, just following. So these two makes up, yes, those that said they understand, right? Yes, because considerable extent follows great extent. So you have 15 of the exploited women versus, let's see now, how many respondents did we have? 20. So 15 to 20. So that's almost a quarter now. So that's, yeah, over over half, yes, of those. So of the people, 75% actually of those that were part of your program. So in terms of ratio, means that ratio 7 to, yeah, we can say ratio 7.5 to 10 as well. So Um, so which means a whole lot of your programs who are exploited women actually said they understood dangers of irregular migration. That's what it means. And I mean, this is all what you do for your findings. We can change this to percentages anyways. Um, Show result as percentage of grand total. Yes, so you have this. So you can see 75% because in fact none of those women that were exploited by the opposite sex said they don't understand. So 75% of them um, that responded actually said yes, they understood that reporting mechanism. So that's what we have for findings. Then let's move on to your conclusion. Yeah, describes. So this would definitely describe now what we have um, in here. Don't forget what we said is we want to know if there were more exploited women in our program that learned about dangers of irregular migration. With our data that we have um, here, what it means is that yes, our program was able to make yes more exploited women to understand the dangers of irregular migration. Um, so yes, so but remember that I said for changes, we need for us to understand that we would have had the baseline data as well and compare it with this survey. This survey is like end of program survey, right? So which is here. So you also need the baseline survey also as well. So that's what we refer to when we mean conclusion, right? Is to tell us, yes, did we achieve this? Were more exploited women, did more exploited women in our program become aware of sexual abuse reporting mechanisms? So, which is like, yes, the output statement. So it's telling you, did the activity actually result to the output? If you're talking about improved livelihoods, for example, oh, so did the activity actually contribute to improve livelihoods? You stated in the conclusion, oh, it didn't. Oh, it did. 75% of those in our program said that yes, they have started businesses using the indicators. So, I mean, that's what we refer to as conclusion. Then you think about the recommendation. I mean, it's always from the conclusion, from the results as well, and that. So in terms of putting together your recommendation, it's important to note that yes, please begin with. So in the classroom as well, we've tried to so the reports that we put in there, you can look at the recommendations. Those are, they have examples of good recommendations. Begin with a strong action verb, so which could be, oh, create more XYZ programs for X number of groups, right? Review theory of change and blah blah for. So it has to be in that format: review, train, create, um, concretize. So it has to be with action word. Then don't restate the conclusions. Yes, we know your program has met the output, but tell us about, yes, what are the other things that we've learned that needs to be done. So not the conclusion. Then summarize the evidence. Oh, we found out that XYZ, so because of that, train, so it's like train XYZ because we found out that, oh, ABC happened, and we think that, oh, this is the way this other can be done. Then it's important to always pinpoint who your recommendation is for. So many times we just put recommendations together So let each stakeholder know which recommendation is for them. So if you're working on this program, for instance, uh, maybe you found something that, oh, program managers. So you put program managers there. Oh, to donor, release of funds early so that program can start. Program managers train um, community reporters, for example. So you have to bullet point who is meant for, right? After concluding the evaluation. Um, Suggest different avenues for implementation, provide sufficient detail. Yeah, if there's cost, yeah, you can put it in. If it's going to be expensive or not, then what the benefits are, then delicate issues should be treated sensitively because the essence of you doing this is to improve program, right? So you need to find a better ways to communicate that as well. So, and I mean, at times you might think about also what should be done in the short term, what could be done in the long term, and that is what this number 7 point actually takes a look at. Because not every time you think, oh, things will change immediately. No, because it takes time for change to happen as well. So you need to think about the time frame, which one is prior or will be prior to your organization. Very, very important. So that your recommendation is in form of, oh, okay, in the short term, in the mid term, then in the long term as well. Then when your report is done, you need to think about dissemination, right? Who do we give the report to? What communication method do we use? Not everybody wants to get your 15 or 20 page reports. In fact, there's some evaluation report that are 150 pages. Um, so think about your stakeholder. Who are they? And what communication method fits them the most. I'm sure you would have done this in communication. So, but in evaluation is also important. Your donors, they need a 2 page summary or the report. The senior managers, 2 page summary. Um, then think about when you're supposed to send this document to this stakeholder, right? You can have it in form of priority, like, oh, okay, who is this prior for? So that I can prioritize the budget that I have for it as well. So think about how you would also disseminate that report. Do not keep it. This for donors is very important. I mean, donors like when our organization has gone ahead to think about um, telling them what they learned about the last project or the past project, even before uh, them asking. And I mean, that means you're building a culture for your organization for improving your programs, learning from your programs, which is quite important for you as a civil society organization. Yes, know your audience. This is also things related to communication. Um, what is most important there is to know what they like and how you can solve your problem with your own M&E report. And I've just mentioned donors, right? Because donors are not, donor agencies or organizations are not on ground with you. For them, they are also looking for ways to learn from each program. So if you had done that within the lifespan of the program and you're sending it to them, then it means that yes, you're solving a problem for them. Um, so that's very, very key and important. And not only donors, think about other stakeholders as well, legislatives, the ministries in your state where you're executing the program. This will all be useful for them. So think about how you can send this to them, especially your report. Some things to take notes in your evaluation report, in your report monitoring evaluation report. Yes, like I said, executive summary, let it just be 2 pages. Remove all jargons. Key findings should be um, something that is key that people can read and see that, oh, these are key findings. In some cases, we actually put key findings um, even immediately after the executive summary. So as bullet points or in infographics, right? Do not report too much data. Few data is fine. Um, don't miss the windows of opportunity of quickly engaging who wants to use your report. So for example, donors, send it to them immediately. Let them know about it. Cut down too much narrative and design your report properly. Very, very important. You will see samples of reports in your classroom, right? You can think about, yes, making use of it, and they are in different formats, right? So then, how do you now use the report to improve your program? You think about what have you learned, and I mean, we use this a lot. Well, yeah, what are the lessons learned? What are the lessons learned? These are 6 key things that can be learned in a program. Um, so, beneficiaries' obstacles that they need to overcome. Yeah, you're working in a project in a community, and yes, for example, the CBOs in this other participatory budgeting, yeah, they have their own challenges as well, and you should think about their challenge, and that's the work of an M&E um, to understand that. It might be, oh, transport to the venue, if transport was not provided in the budget of the project. So them transporting themselves, or oh, toolkit. Oh, we are selling the toolkit to them, but can they afford it? Those are obstacles, right? That you need to think about. Ways to meet their needs. Yes, so how do you now respond to those obstacles, to those needs that they have? Very, very important because that might be what is adding to the success of the program. What strategies worked? You need to take cognizance of this. In your activities, you would have listed so many things, right? So, for example, for this participatory budgeting, we say, oh, we organize town hall meetings, we develop participatory health budgeting manual, we train CBOs. In each of these, there are different ways. So, in training, there are different components of the trainings, right? Maybe it's face to face, maybe it's online, maybe you provided a manual. Same thing with this. And so, it could be in within activities, it could be the activities. Which one worked better? You need to understand that, right? You need to understand which one, oh, if you're doing sensitization, for example, is it by using the groups themselves to sensitize, or is it by using someone from our own office to do the sensitization? Is that what worked? So you need to think, those are strategies. So you need to think about, oh, we said we're going to do a radio program. We're going to print IEC materials, information, education, communication material. Which one really worked in our program? What were challenges in working with groups? Yes, I mean, different groups have their own challenges. So you need to think if your program is having so many groups, so for instance, youth groups, market women groups, um, small small enterprise groups. You need to think about the challenges with working with those groups as well. What challenges did the organization face? Which group is important for program delivery? You need to think about that. Is it the market women? Is it government people working in with government officials? Is it the community-based organization that you partnered with? You need to think about that as well. Um, and what are the effective ways in working with vulnerable groups as well? So I mean, if we have people living with disabilities in our program, so how do we work with them, right? You need to think about them as well, and the best way to work with them. Or you have market women, or you have people that are working So, I mean, you would not want to put your program maybe within working time, right? So you need to think about that. Very, very important as well. So, what exactly do you now improve? Knowing all these things in terms of the lessons that you might have learned. So, what are the things that we actually improve when we say, oh, M&E is about improving our program? Remember that you developed in week one, we talked about the problem tree, right? Which led to your theory of change. The assumptions from this problem led to your theory of change. So, do we need to modify the theory of change? Is that something important? So you can think about that. Causal pathway modification. So your recommendation actually might speak to this. So, but these are things you need to watch out for. Also, oh, do we need to take a look at our results? So all these results, do we need to change them? Is there something to change or improve on? Is there something we missed that we need to now focus on? So think about that. Then program implementation, which is the strategic decisions about your activities. That's what we mean by that. All these activities here. Are there things we need to change? Are there target audiences we now need to work and leave the ones we're working with, or we need more of those target groups as well in the program? So think about all that as something that is important. Then, largely, what does this mean for your organization? Remember that in the first week we said you can monitor and evaluate your organization. And the way you do that is also to look at different programs you're carrying out. Does this program, what does it mean for the vision and mission of your organization? Has it actually addressed our vision? Is it contributing to the vision of the organization? So, I mean, you could think about that. Also, other implications for the organization is, oh, what kind of staff or what type of staff do we have in our organization? Oh, do we need to recruit more people the next time we're going to have X program? So think about that. Then the last one is about, yes, searching for donors. Yeah, which means that, oh, we've known 1 to 7. We can then approach a donor. Might be new, might be your former one, and approach them with your report that, oh, this is the direction we are now thinking of. So just in case, please, we will need X funding to now improve on this program we're carrying out. So it means you're a step ahead of your donor. And I mean, that is what any donor organization would like, because yes, you need to be able to give them, yes, what worked, what didn't work in the last program, and what are the thoughts that your organization is trying to look out for or is implementing. Oh, we need a new staff. Oh, the last program, it was because we didn't have an M&E officer. Now we need to recruit a new M&E officer. Is this something you want to support us with other than projects? Yes, we did a program, we want to improve on it and add one new strategy, which is development of a manual toolkit. You can approach your donor with that, and what that does, like I said, is yes, making you take a step further. Yes, so we then go to our learning task, which so you're supposed to develop an outline for your case study, which is the module you've been working on since week one, right? So that's a learning task. And let us see what we have in our classroom. Yeah, I mean, if you can quickly scribble an outline. So we have module learning task, module 5, learning task 1. Let's view. So there's a template. You're supposed to use this template. Let us view the assignment. Okay, so Develop an outline for the M&E report of your case study. Use the template attached, which is this template, right? It's important for you to be able to use the template attached, but if not, you already know how to upload. You can upload it here. So let's dive into so at first we need a title page, which is this particular page, right? So title page, then yeah, if you want acknowledgement, that is if you want anyways. Then we'll have the table of contents. So this is all that we want you to do in this. Then you could have list of tables and figures if you want, list of acronyms as well. You have the executive summary, then the introduction, then you have the program description as it relates to monitoring and evaluation. Then you have the M&E focus. Then we would have the methods, right? You could say M&E methods. Then you have your results. Then recommendations. Yeah, this could be results, and results could include, so we're going to be doing this now, findings, conclusions. So this, then your recommendation. Good. So this was what we yeah, if you want references, if you had referenced in your context, which is the introduction, right? So reference, then you have the appendices if you would, if you're going to include some appendices, so please feel free to use that. But yes, our title page is the first thing. We're working on livelihood, so let's see. We have the title, improved. So this is what we need from you. M&E report on amongst women. So you could be more specific and say maybe a midterm M&E report, right? This is what we refer to as title page. You can then think about the author also. So I'll take this down and I would bold in this. This is what we expect you to do for this task, and we're already showing you, right? Good. So, well, we don't need title page anymore. This has shown your title page. Let's try and we'll look out for the best M&E report outline for this task also. So we can submit it by Health Salam Foundation. Then, so we can actually reduce this, then put a date, right? So that's your title page already settled. What else? Yeah, I mean, just be creative. Uh, then you have your acknowledgement, you have your table of contents, list of acronyms. So you can have your acronyms. Then you have the executive summary. So this executive summary, you need to put what you are supposed to add into it. Remember, what was the objective or purpose of the M&E? M&E purpose, which means, the purpose was to, yes, understand if our activities actually resulted to output, um, to be able to see if we can harvest outcomes from our activities. So those are examples of purpose, right? Um, I can put it there so that when I'm just typing, so you could have those ones as purpose, but the purpose comes first, then you then have the a brief of the methods that was used. You interviewed 30 people uh, via a narrative interview, or you provided a pre-test and a post-test survey. So you have the methods, then findings, then you will then speak about method findings, then you have the recommendations. So findings means your conclusions, right? So in terms of, so you could say findings, I like separating it, conclusions. So remember, these are just some, these are going to be in summary. This shows what is supposed to be in the executive summary. One thing I can start doing from here is to turn it into an header. Turn this to an header. So this is how we conclude on the outline, right? What's next? Introduction is next, and in introduction, you always have, let's see, oops, we have the overview. You could have the purpose again and intended use. So you have this too as well. Let's make this because it's an heading as well. So those are the things that are in it. Then you have the focus of the M&E, which will definitely mean, oh, we have the program description, right? So goals, objectives, which we've done already, funder or who funded it, who are organizations involved, then the beneficiaries, right? These are all the things you need to narrate um, under program description. Let's put this as a header. Don't forget when you're submitting this, yes, you need to give us the full details of your program that you're working on, of your case studies. So instead of writing beneficiaries, let us know who the beneficiaries are. So like, oh, the beneficiaries of this program were, or the targets were, um, market women, women that are working, white collar women. So think about all those. You have the M&E focus, adding one. So in here also you would have what's the theory of change, indicators, then most importantly, what are the questions we're trying to answer? Don't forget they are from your results statement. I've mentioned this before. For example, this, so these two, right? Yes, we did those two in our analysis, remember? So put it, so because I just copied it, so these are the two things. Then, but that will not be it, so it will be did activities result to more exploited women becoming aware of the sexual abuse reporting mechanisms, right? Also with this one, did more exploited women learn about dangers of. So those two things are the questions we tried asking. Then we move to the M&E methods. Of course, all these can be sub-heading, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, great. So then you have your M&E methods, right? Let's leave it as 1, right? So this will definitely be your data sources. So all what you have, don't forget you already have all this in your table: data source, data collection method, then data collection instruments, right? You can also think about, sample unit data was collected from, right? So you have that. Then you move to your results. This is heading 1. So this is how your outline should go. Results. We don't need you to put detail about it. No, this is just an outline. So, but it must reflect like something like this, because this is from, remember, this is from what we did last week. So you must have that. So it's about your case studies. So just put in key things about it. So results, so findings, results, we put it in heading 1. So this can be heading 2. Yeah, because they're separate, right? So the findings, I need to state what we mean by that. So let me do something so that, oh, okay, so we already have findings. So your findings would be by your indicator, right? For each of the outcome statements. So for example, change in knowledge. What did we find? What were the data? That's what we're talking about. So let me use my notepad anyways. Do we need that? Let me just put it in here. So what are the findings for that indicator? Then this also, see, what are the findings? So normally I will put indicator 1, then indicator 2. So you write the findings underneath it with so you can see if you want a table, if you want this, you add it in, right? I'm just using this copy chart as a narrative. If you're able to do 1 or 2 things, so yeah, it's about Sam. Paste on linked, just paste. So I mean, I have this for indicator 1. I can do a narrative under indicator 1 that, oh, 75% of our blah 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 made it here. So then you have indicator 2, you do the same thing, then you have the conclusions from there. I'll make this heading 2 as well. Then you have your recommendation. Recommendation for who? For who? That's one thing you need to ask. So for example, for this program, I might just say, so recommendation for program officers. Then I start 1, 2, if it's 2. Recommendations for donors, maybe it's only 1. Recommendations for management, right? Maybe that's 1, 2, and that's it. Then you have your references, put it as the 1, then your appendices, the 1. With this, you have an outline. Oh, I need to work on recommendation. as heading 1. Good. So with this, you already have in your table of content. I will just insert it. Insert table of contents. And boom. So this is exactly what you just need to submit. So this is my outline. Aside from so this is supposed to be my table of contents. Let me just make it bigger. Great. So I'll take it down since I still have acknowledgement somewhere there. So this is the outline. You can submit once you are able to get this. So you can see what is in my report already: executive summary, introduction, program description, M&E focus, M&E methods, results. So if I want to see what is inside each one, I can come in here. And that's the outline we want you to submit. So I'm done already. You can turn in from here, or since you're done, I'm already done in here, I then turn it in as my outline. So don't forget that, yes, we need things from your report to be inside. Things from your report should be inside. So not just solve, M&E focus, yes, what's your theory of change? You already done that. Indicators, you already have that. Your questions, you already did that in this project. M&E methods, yes, you already, these 4 things you already did. They are in here, right? Data source, data collection method, data instruments also. So you just need to be creative about this. Maybe not results, findings. If you've done analysis on the data you got, just like we did here, just like we did with this and this, then yeah, you can put it inside your outline as well. Then recommendation is important. Who do you want to recommend to? Give us such people in there. We will know from your program who you're supposed to recommend to. So that's your outline that we've done. And I think with that, yes, we've submitted already. With that, yes, that is it for module 6. I hope this has been useful for you developing your M&E report, and also being able to use it to improve your program in terms of looking at every aspect of your program, your theory of change, the strategies that you used, the goals that was coined for the program, and all. So those are the key important part of why you're doing M&E, right? So on that note, I want to say thank you so much for following up. We look forward to your submissions, and see you in the next module. Bye.